So in the second video, the thing that the pros do that most amateurs don't, we're going to talk about a huge one today that is going to have perhaps the biggest impact of anything else you do in your golf swing. If you do what I'm going to show you today that the pros are going to do, that they all do really consistently, it will help you with consistency, it'll help you with distance, and it'll help you swing, get more distance, but effortlessly. And that's really key. That's what I'm really all about. Rotary Swing is all about effortless power. Anybody can swing hard, right? I want to swing easy and hit the ball hard, and that's my goal. So we're going to look at my swing, we're going to look at Rory McIlroy's swing, we're going to look at Dustin Johnson's swing, and we're going to look at a typical amateur student to show what's going on. So I've got Rory on the right here, and what we're going to focus on today is completing most of your rotation by the time your lead arm is parallel to the ground. So obviously at this phase in the swing, this is when the lead arm is parallel to the ground, and you can see that Rory's right shoulder has disappeared mostly behind his head. He's made almost a full shoulder turn by the time his lead arm is parallel to the ground. In amateurs, we see this all the time. It's the opposite. I'll just pull one up here real quick. And here's a golfer who's got a great swing, tons of power, but watch what happens. Note how the right shoulder never really moves. It doesn't really rotate, and it stalls out by the time the lead arm is parallel to the ground, and it never really got turned. And so there's very little rotation. So now what is that going to force you to do in your swing? Well, it's going to force you to swing with all arms. And so when you do this, this is devastating for consistency because your arms are the hardest part of the golf swing to control. They move the most, they move the fastest, and they can move in the greatest range of motion. Think about how much just your wrists can do in rotation and cocking and flexing and so on. And when you put all of those things into motion and you try to hit a golf ball consistently, it's really darn hard. When you look at somebody like Rory, his hands, arms, wrists almost look like they're frozen, and he's just turning. And I'm going to show you in the second part of this video exactly how to do this. I've got several good videos that are going to teach you exactly how to do this, but I want you just to burn this in your brain right now that by the time your lead arm is parallel to the ground, that the vast majority of your rotation is done. You can see Rory's logo over here on the back side of his shirt is already starting to become visible. Now, I know a lot of you are saying, oh, well, Rory's just super fit and flexible. And certainly that's true, but that really doesn't have anything to do with making a full shoulder turn. This has to do with how you're moving your arms, which is what we're going to talk about in the bonus videos, which are going to be in the description down below. So when you look at this, this is the key that I want you to focus on is by the time your lead arm's here, 90 degrees of shoulder turn, you're close to it. We'll pull Dustin Johnson up here. You'll see the very same thing that he will make. And he's a little bit different type of golf swing. He swings more lead side dominant. Rory's a little bit more trail side dominant. You guys have heard me talking about, the right side pushers versus the left side pullers. And so this is a good example. You can see Dustin, when he sets up to the club, his right hand's so high up the club that his left thumb will be visible here underneath his right hand in just a moment, but we'll talk about that later. But notice here, by the time that his left arm is parallel to the ground, he's made a little bit less turn than Rory, but he's also swinging an iron versus a driver, so that could be part of the key. But long story short, most golfers, you can see that their right shoulder will be gone by the time that lead arm is parallel to the ground. And again, if we pull back our very common mistakes that we see in the amateurs, there's very little shoulder rotation. For those of you who are familiar with Rotary Swing, we talk about that left arm pushing the club across the body, causing the right arm to bend, and there's no rotation. So this is a death move. And then I've got a swing of mine up here from this morning, and we have some launch monitor data, so we'll pull that up. This is a 7-iron. And so you'll see the same thing. This is me working on my right side pusher movement that I'm going to be sharing with you guys. I have to perfect it in my own swing first so that I can teach it. Can't do what you can't teach, or can't teach what you can't do, I should say. But you'll see as my left arm is parallel to the ground, even with my messed up spine, and you notice that my neck is fused, so my head turns, and I've got scoliosis and nerve damage and all this crazy stuff, and yet I'm still making most of my shoulder turn by the time that lead arm is parallel to the ground, and from there I'm really just getting ready to go the other way. So we'll see that this keeps my arms from having to do much of anything during the backswing. I'm really just turning. We're going to talk about that in the videos down in the description below. Really, you're going to focus on the right shoulder blade glide a video, the right arm, keeping the right arm straight to turn, and the left side push and what that causes in the backswing. Those are 3 primary videos I'm going to direct your attention to, but the links will be down below. So you can see here I made a full shoulder turn. My arms don't really have to do much. This is the key to consistency. And it's also the key to power, because if you remember, as we look at our AM, when he goes to the top, if we just look at his swing, he hasn't really loaded up his body at all. So none of the big muscles are working here. This is all arms and hands. And so then he's got to really try and make a big exaggerated move. And it's just too inconsistent. It's too difficult to get all of that stuff working together. And you can see, because he's trying so hard to produce some speed, and he can produce a lot of speed. It would just be very difficult to control. He's starting to get into a little bit of a chicken wing move here. And his head's moving quite a bit, because he's trying to do everything he can to get power because he didn't load up his body. Let's make it really simple. Let's turn our body, focus on keeping that left arm straight and the right arm straight. Obviously, the right arm's going to bend, but you're going to imagine, like you'll see in the bonus videos, that you keep that right arm straight as long as you can. It helps act as a piston to push that right shoulder blade back, and then you're ready to start firing on the way down and release the club effortlessly through the ball. And you can see, even though it doesn't look, I'll play this at speed so you can see I rarely look like I'm swinging that fast, but it's 196 yard 7-iron, so it's not exactly hard for somebody to produce speed. It's how you do it, and this is one of the keys to effortless power, is making sure you make that full shoulder turn by the time that your lead arm is parallel to the ground. Now take a look at the bonus videos down in the description below to walk you through each key step of this, understanding how to do this yourself, and go out and try it this weekend. And if you do, let me know how it works out in the comments below.